Good morning. Today's Wednesday. Today I woke up. I said I'm going to be happy. I don't care what's going on around me. I'm going to embrace the notion of happiness today. And I would like everyone that's following me on social media to do the same. Forgive that person that hurt you the most. Let that pain go. Take the initiative on your business. If you have to change something like stop smoking or anything of that nature, do it. Today's the day.
Developing this noon, 2 people found dead in a South Florida townhouse complex.
Dad went out here in North Lauderdale. Broward Sheriff's Office says that they found 2 people shot to death when they got out here at about 9 o'clock this morning. That's when the first call came, and as you can see from these pictures here on the ground, just a massive investigation at this point. I want to show you some pictures from above. Skyforce hovering above shortly after all this broke, again just after 9 o'clock or so this morning. Again, Sheriff's Office saying that 2 people found dead outside a townhome here.
April 13th, 2022, 9 a.m. North Lauderdale, Florida. The day began like any other in this quiet suburban neighborhood. The sun was already warm, the streets calm, children getting ready for school, cars pulling out of driveways. But in the Willow Woods townhomes, one phone call would be cut short by a sound no parent should ever hear. On the line, Jennifer Bologna was speaking with her mother. Her voice was steady, but her eyes had caught something. Someone, outside. A familiar figure she had tried to keep out of her life. She asked him why he was there. He didn't answer. And then, in a matter of seconds, the morning stillness shattered. Jennifer had followed the rules. She had left. She had sought the court's protection. She was raising her children, working hard, moving forward. Yet on this ordinary Wednesday morning, as she prepared to take her daughter Anastasia to school, the danger she thought she had left behind was standing in front of her. 2 lives would be lost before the clock struck 9:15. How does a mother do everything right and still end up murdered in broad daylight? Before we go any further, if this story matters to you, if you believe Jennifer and Anastasia's lives deserve to be remembered, please like this video, subscribe for more stories that must be told, leave a comment to honor them, and share it so their voices reach far beyond this screen. Jennifer Bologna was 32 years old, a mother of 3, and the kind of person whose presence lit up a room. Friends and family described her as a woman with an easy smile and a heart that seemed to have no limits. She was deeply rooted in her role as a mother, the center of her children's world, and she poured her energy into giving them stability, love, and the best chance at life she could offer. She was a professional through and through. A skilled real estate specialist, a finance expert, and a tax preparer. Jennifer didn't just work to make ends meet, she worked to build something lasting. She founded and ran her own business, Bologna Financial Solutions, and she approached her clients with the same warmth and dedication she gave her family. Whether she was guiding someone through buying a home or walking them step by step through their taxes, she treated every person like they mattered. Outside of work, Jennifer was the voice you'd hear encouraging others to push forward, even when life got heavy. Her social media was filled with uplifting words, telling people to embrace happiness, let go of grudges, and take action toward their goals. She believed in the power of hard work and resilience, and she lived that message daily. At home, she was hands-on with her kids, school drop-offs, helping with homework, celebrating milestones big and small. She wasn't just raising children, she was raising them to feel secure, valued, and loved. Her friends recall how she balanced motherhood and business with what looked like effortless grace, though those close to her knew the sacrifices it took. To the outside world, Jennifer appeared strong, confident, and steady, a woman who had faced challenges and still found ways to rise above them. But behind that strength was a struggle she rarely spoke about. Jennifer met Andre O'Dane Anglin when they were still teenagers. They were high school sweethearts, the kind of couple people expected to make it for the long haul. In those early years, there was love, there was laughter, and eventually there was a family. Together they had 3 children, and for a time, their lives seemed intertwined in the way young love often dreams it will be. But as the years passed, cracks began to show. Andre struggled to keep steady work, often drifting between jobs or going without one at all. Substance use became part of his daily life, and with it came tension, arguments, and a growing distance between them. What once felt like partnership began to turn into control. Jennifer's friends and family would later recall how Andre's behavior shifted from affectionate to increasingly possessive and intimidating. In February 2018, after a series of domestic violence incidents, Jennifer went to court and filed for a restraining order. In Florida, a domestic violence injunction, often called a restraining order, is meant to create a legal barrier between an abuser and their victim. It can forbid contact, require the abuser to stay away from the victim's home and workplace, and in some cases can order the surrender of firearms. On paper, it is a critical step for safety. But as countless survivors know, it is not a physical shield. It is only as strong as the enforcement behind it and the willingness of the offender to obey it. The marriage eventually ended, and by 2020, their divorce was finalized. Jennifer was determined to move forward, to raise her children and rebuild her life. But even with legal separation, Andre did not disappear from her world. He continued to reach out, sometimes trying to win her back, other times using threats or emotional manipulation. He spoke of harming himself if she did not respond, pulling her back into contact she did not want but felt she could not fully ignore. And yet, even in distance, his presence was never truly gone. In the weeks leading up to April 2022, Jennifer's life was a careful balancing act. She had learned from years of experience that confronting Andre head-on often brought more conflict, more threats, and more fear. So instead, she kept her tone measured and her actions cautious, hoping that civility might keep the worst from happening. When Andre called in distress, she would pick up. When he spoke about having nowhere to go, she offered to help him find a place to stay. And when he spiraled into talk of ending his own life, she prayed with him over the phone, choosing compassion in the hope that it might calm him. It wasn't reconciliation she was after. It was survival, for herself and for her children. But even as she tried to keep the peace, the tension beneath the surface was tightening. Andre's need for control over her did not fade with the divorce. It deepened. His calls and messages carried more pressure, more urgency, more emotional weight. He continued to tell her that if she would not come back to him, there was nothing left for him to live for. These were not just passing words. They were part of a pattern she had come to recognize all too well. Friends later said that Jennifer was doing her best to live her life in the midst of it all, working, caring for her children, keeping her routines. Outwardly, she kept her composure. Inwardly, she was managing a situation that had no easy solution, knowing that every interaction with Andre could be calm one day and volatile the next. In the final week of her life, Jennifer's loved ones remembered her sounding lighter, almost hopeful, as if she was trying to focus on better days ahead. She was still careful in her words, still guarded in a way that suggested she understood the importance of keeping certain fears close to herself. But there was a note of optimism in her voice that family members held on to. On the Wednesday before her death, she shared a message with her followers on Facebook. The kind of post she was known for. She wrote about choosing happiness, about embracing the day regardless of what might be going on around you, about forgiving and letting go. She encouraged people to take the first step toward whatever change they had been putting off, telling them not to wait for tomorrow, but to start today. To anyone scrolling past, it read like a simple burst of positivity from a woman determined to rise above her circumstances. To those who knew her best, it was both an affirmation and a reminder of the way she tried to live, even when her private life carried more weight than she shared. It would be one of her last public messages. April 13th, 2022 began like countless other mornings in the Bologna home. It was just after 9 o'clock, and Jennifer was getting ready to take her 15-year-old daughter Anastasia and one of her young sons to school. The Florida sun was already bright, casting long shadows across the quiet street of the Willow Woods townhomes. Backpacks were ready, the car sat just outside, and the day ahead seemed ordinary. As she moved through her routine, Jennifer was on the phone with her mother, their conversation flowing the way it often did in the mornings. Then her attention shifted. Outside, she noticed a figure. One she knew instantly. Andre O'Dane Anglin was standing there. This was not a casual visit, not a planned meeting. Her voice, still on the call with her mother, carried a sudden change in tone as she asked him why he was there. He gave no reply. The silence was heavy, and in the next instant it was broken by the sharp, deafening sound of gunfire. The quiet suburban morning exploded into chaos. Neighbors would later say they heard multiple shots in quick succession. Jennifer and Anastasia were struck, collapsing just outside their home. The open car doors, the backpacks on the ground, the child's car seat still in place, all of it a frozen picture of what had been moments away from being a simple school drop-off. The phone line went dead. The street, moments before still and calm, was now a crime scene. When the gunfire stopped, the scene outside Jennifer's townhouse was one of heartbreak and horror. Her body and Anastasia's lay just steps from the front door, the life that had filled them gone in an instant. The open car doors stood as silent witnesses, the morning sun glinting off the metal. On the pavement nearby, school backpacks had been dropped where they fell, their bright colors stark against the gray concrete. Inside the vehicle, a child's car seat was still strapped in place, untouched, a painful reminder of the routine they had been in the middle of before everything changed. Neighbors emerged from their homes, some frozen in shock, others rushing toward the sound of cries. A family member's wail carried through the air, cutting through the stunned silence between bursts of frantic movement. Calls to 911 poured in as people tried to make sense of what had just happened in their quiet community. The Willow Woods complex, usually filled with the sounds of children and morning chatter, now held only the heavy weight of tragedy. Within hours of the shooting, the Broward Sheriff's Office publicly identified the suspect, 34-year-old Andre O'Dane Anglin. His photograph was released to every news outlet in South Florida, his name repeated across television screens and radio reports. Detectives confirmed what Jennifer's family already knew. The man they had feared for years was now wanted for the murders of a mother and her teenage daughter. Authorities issued an urgent warning to the public, telling residents to be on the lookout and not to approach him if spotted. They shared that Anglin was known to frequent the Margate area and that he could be on foot or using local transit to move around. For the community, the fear was immediate and real. This was a man described as armed and dangerous, and no one knew what he might do next. In North Lauderdale, neighbors who had heard the gunfire just hours earlier now kept their doors locked and their children close. Family members went before cameras, their grief raw, pleading for anyone with information to come forward. "We need him off the streets," one relative said, her voice breaking. "He can't hurt anyone else. Please, help us find him." The urgency was felt in every corner of the community, and the search for Andre Anglin was now a race against time. 5 days after the murders, on April 18, 2022, the search for Andre O'Dane Anglin came to an end in Fort Lauderdale. Acting on a tip, the Broward Sheriff's Office Viper Unit, a team trained to locate and apprehend violent offenders, arrived at a Circle K gas station on West Sunrise Boulevard. They had reason to believe their suspect was inside. Officers moved in quickly, securing the area, their attention fixed on the store's restroom. Behind that door was the man wanted for killing Jennifer Bologna and her daughter Anastasia. They called out to him, identifying themselves, ordering him to come out. There was no response. Moments later, a single gunshot rang out from inside. When deputies forced entry, they found Anglin dead from a self-inflicted wound. Just like that, the manhunt was over, but so were any hopes of a trial, of answers under oath, of hearing him account for what he had done. For Jennifer's family, there would be no chance to face him in court, no opportunity for justice in a legal sense. The case closed with his death, leaving only the grief and the questions he took with him. In the days after the murders, the weight of loss settled heavily on Jennifer and Anastasia's family. One relative described Jennifer as her best friend, the person she could turn to for anything, the one whose advice and laughter were a constant in her life. Anastasia was remembered as her angel, a bright, loving teenager who brought joy into every room she entered. For those left behind, the absence was crushing. 2 young boys were now without their mother and their sister, a void no words could fill, a wound that would never fully heal. This was more than a personal tragedy. It was a reflection of a national crisis. In the United States, Black women face some of the highest rates of homicide at the hands of intimate partners. Time and again, the warning signs are there: restraining orders, police reports, pleas for help, and still, too many cases end in bloodshed. In Florida, as in many states, an injunction for protection is a vital legal tool, but when it isn't strongly enforced, and when firearms remain within reach of abusers, its power can be dangerously limited. Jennifer and Anastasia's story is not an isolated tragedy. It's part of a pattern that demands more than condolences. It demands change, action, and a refusal to accept that this is the price some must pay for leaving. Jennifer Bologna should still be here. Anastasia should still be here. Their laughter, their voices, their presence in the lives of those who loved them, none of it should have been stolen on that April morning. If you are in a violent relationship, please reach out for help today. Call a hotline, tell a trusted friend, connect with an advocate. Do not wait for tomorrow. And if you are hearing this and feel anger rising inside you, let it move you to action. Push for stronger protections in your community. Demand that restraining orders be enforced with urgency. Support the organizations fighting for survivors, especially Black women, whose lives are too often overlooked until it is too late. Share their story. Say their names. Because the next mother, the next daughter, might not get another chance. If Jennifer and Anastasia's story has moved you, don't let it stop here. Like this video so more people see it. Subscribe so you never miss the stories that need to be told. And leave a comment to share your thoughts or honor their memory. Most importantly, share this video with your friends, your family, your community, because their story matters. And the more people who hear it, the harder it becomes for the world to look away.